Hello, everybody. I'm Jeffrey E. Berger, and welcome to Holistic Mental Fitness Series, where myself and Mupo Entertainment believes mental fitness is the new physical health. Before I bring on my very, very special guest today, Doc Anthony Van Tonder, to the stage, if I may. As a certified holistic wellness coach, I'm humbled to be affiliated with an amazing group of humanitarian entrepreneurs who are aligned with the only holistic mental wellness company focusing on the microbiome. And people say, what is that? That's a great question. It is actually your gut, brain, heart axis health. And it is a science that is disrupting the health and wellness industry today, especially when it comes to mental wellness. Who out there hasn't experienced stress, anxiety, depression, or even suicidal thoughts? It's no exaggeration to describe stress, depression, anxiety, and burnout as epidemics, literally the black plague of our modern times, especially with all that's going on globally. This interview series is very near and dear to my own heart because it's about sharing stories of others opening up in conversations from all areas of wellness to help people understand it's okay to talk about mental, physical, emotional, and financial health, sharing their experiences and becoming informed of alternative options that are out there that are safe and work. We provide real solutions to real people who are serious about getting their health back into a really good state. There is no physical health without mental wellness, and they are actually two sides of the same coin, and they are vital for each other and for our ability to reach our peak potential in this one life that we get to live. So, how we feel is not just only in our head, it's also in our gut. And this is what we do best. So today, as the founder and the CEO of Abundance and Optimum Wellness, I believe we all should be living a life in abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, especially around finances. Why? Because today, this is the number one stressor for most people in the world. We're entering an era where there is massive change happening, and we're here to share some informative information that people are looking for. So we want to share that. But before we get started, and before I bring on my special guest, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And Mupo Entertainment is a syndicated TV series. And it's also found, you can find it on our phone apps, on the Android and the iPhone app, by looking for Mupo Entertainment. We're also seen on Fire TV, Vimeo, and Roku, and soon to be maybe Netflix. So we're excited to hear that announcement possibly in the coming months, but we'll be right back with Dr. Anthony Van Tonder. Okay, we are back with Dr. Anthony Van Tonder, otherwise known as Doc Ant, who is joining us from Pretoria, South Africa today. I'm humbled to call him a new friend and business colleague. He is a husband to Dr. Michelle, father of 4, grandfather of 10. He is the founder of Doc Anthony VT. He's a legacy coach and a behavioral modification specialist. And today he is the CEO of the Conversion Academy. His favorite quote, give a man a fish to eat and you'll still his hunger. Teach a man to fish and he is fed for life. Doc Anthony is definitely a man on a mission who loves to learn, lead, and inspire. And I want to welcome Doc Ant to season 4 of Holistic Mental Fitness Series. Welcome, Dr. Ant.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It's an honor for me to be here. I must say, just watching the interlude and the start, I mean, you sort of get into the move of things, man. It's just great to see, because ultimately, life is about embracing which comes your way and running with it. Life's not always a box of chocolates, as we know from the movies, but you know what? It's selecting the best and making the best of every situation. And thank you. It's an honor for me to be with you today.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So before we get jump into the questions, please share a little bit about who Doc Ant is outside of your business.
Well, I must tell you that health and wellness is very important to me. For instance, I would run 6 kilometers every morning and then come back and go and walk 5 to 10 with my wife because I really believe that we should look after our health because that's the only thing that sustains us so that we can get into the other side, being spiritual, be it financial, etc. I fully believe that a holistic approach in terms of all of the avenues of life is important. I love life. Apart from my obviously my background in business. I've been in business for 42 years. My latest thing was I was chairman of the board for a group of 7 companies in the financial and education field. Then once my contract was finished, they moved into a new space, which is now the Conversion Academy, and really just wanted to add value. But ultimately, like John Maxwell says, one is too small a number to achieve greatness. And I find that wherever I go, it is the community people that actually embrace one another, take hands, and that takes us to the next level. So that's who I am. I really help shape others for significance. I'd say that's what I do.
Awesome. That's great. And yes, John Maxwell is an icon indeed. So I mentioned in the introduction, you are the newly founded CEO of the Conversion Academy. So share a little bit about who the Conversion Academy is and how did it come about?
Well, we're living in a changing world. One of the things that's taking us by storm right now is AI, artificial intelligence. And I can tell you, I see that everybody's on the bandwagon and running array to chat GPT, etc., and finding alternative ways. And yes, it's speeding up our processes the way the Americans say. But the Conversion Academy saw that there's another movement, and that's which we did not have in the past, and that is that we're moving to online business. When you look at the various generations, wherever you come from, I'm part of the baby boomers. Then it goes right down to Generation X, then Z, and right now into Alpha starting to emerge. And with the changes of the various generations, we've seen emerging to online living, training.
Right.
And therefore, what is happening, for instance, take somebody from Generation Z and Alpha. They don't want to, like you and I, go and shop in a store anymore. They like to sit at their desk. They'd like to go online, go into the store and click their sugar, click their chocolates. That gets put in a basket and somebody delivers it to their door without them moving whatsoever. With that reality, we started saying what is out there that is starting to change the way the world is perceived. And that's
Correct.
when we discovered that Web 2 was there, and that now became Web 3. And then through Web 3, now actually we're exposed to metaverse. And through the metaverse, we're exposed to things like the blockchain and cryptos, which is a total new approach in terms of how to handle our finances. I mean, I don't know if you remember those days when we used to put our salaries in little brown envelopes and we went from week to week to week. That's a long time ago. I know. Been in
That's
business
a
for
long
42
time ago.
years.
Absolutely. You're showing our age. What you said, we're part of the baby boomers. So I'm older than you.
Quite correct. And you look fantastic for your age and you look healthy for your age, I must tell you that.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yes, we're not into brown envelopes anymore. And we've had to, I mean, can you imagine the time when they changed and they said, now you won't get your money in cash, but we will actually electronically transfer it to you. And
Mm.
you had to trust them that that money would be there. I mean, you didn't believe it. And then now we got used to, okay, your money gets transferred to you. And then after that, now they announce that there's a credit card. Man, you and I would not believe. What do you mean our money's on a credit card? So I don't have to stand in the queue anymore. So this whole evolvement of money and the way that commerce has evolved has really shaped the world. Now, the Conversion Academy is all about taking it to the new level of
Right.
plugging into where the movement really is. I mean, if you don't understand blockchain today, best to get onto some basic education to immerse yourself to find out what it is and how you can go next level.
No, that's great. And yes, technology is changing. It's the new innovation. And the idea is to really get people educated about what is transpiring. I mean, we've heard about this actually 9 years ago. 2009, I think it was when Bitcoin came out. And back then, as a software engineer, I'm like, no, that's not going to last. It's a scam. It's a pyramid. Whatever. Look at where it is today. Now we've evolved into cryptocurrency, which is all part of the blockchain technology. So, we talk about crypto, we talk about Bitcoin, but the Conversion Academy is really focusing around the NFT, which is another form of cryptocurrency. And specifically with the Conversion Academy around the South Africa rugby teams, and which is actually going to be going global. So share a little bit about what that NFT is in relationship to the Conversion Academy and how South Africa rugby team is going to be the first to be participating in this program that we are putting together here and how that's going to evolve.
Well, going back to the actual NFT, one has to understand why.
Right.
Now, we all know the name Babe Ruth, a baseball player, and we know that there was an exchange of baseball cards in the past. And because you wanted to get your hands on that card, you would pay anything to get it. And therefore, the value of that card kept on increasing and increasing.
Correct.
Well, an NFT is called a non-fungible token, and very much is a representation of, call it, that baseball card, but in two ways. There's a physical card or avatar that will actually have, let's say, the top rugby player in South Africa, his face will be on a card, and second, it will be on digital. Now, what happens is this non-fungible token has to be staked. And as it gets staked, there's value that gets evolved and value that gets exchanged. So let's say, for instance, I have got the top rugby captain, I've got his baseball card, or now the NFT, which is a card, be it in physical, be it on digital, and I would like to exchange that value with you. And let's say I got it for $1,000, and you go like, "No, man, I want it because the guy is so well known," and you offer me $1,500, and therefore the escalation in value after it was staked is shared. The Conversion Academy then gets a small percentage of that money in terms of making its ends meet. So with the NFTs, it really is making heroes of the people who already are the national heroes, but using the new digital system to drive that in terms of forming a community. Now, the NFT world will not work without the original asset being in place. Like the actual rugby player remains the asset while he's
Right.
alive. If it was a piece of art, it actually would be that painting. So the painting would be escalated and sold through to various pieces or exchanged to various pieces in terms of the value that keeps on increasing, but the original asset will remain there as the source of value. And that's why the person in an NFT remains the source of value. Now, as we know, there's the Rugby World Cup coming this year. And we also
Correct.
know that the South African rugby team called the Springboks have been the world champions twice. And this year, we're expecting them to actually do that the third time. So rugby is
Awesome.
big, and taking these heroes and making them NFTs so that we can have a community of fans that will come into the game and really enjoy it. But it opens up a new world. There's the physical game and there's the digital game.
That's absolutely correct. You mentioned earlier about staking, and I just want to bring this up for the viewers. Staking is really a process that is done on the through the blockchain on the exchange. So it's just basically um, reinvesting into it so the value increases. So it keeps going back to staking. Somebody buys it, they stake it, buy it, stake it, so forth and so on. And it's just like the stock exchange. You're investing into those individual companies. Here, you're investing into an NFT. So
Maybe, Jeffrey, maybe just add also the blockchain. Why is that so special? See, with Web 2, that was really our internet. We now have that Web 3 is metaverse. But the blockchain now is really transactional. Every single transaction goes onto the blockchain without mistake. That means that we have a record, we have a history of every single transaction. And I can tell you that the middlemen will be cut out because we're going straight to the source of accuracy, just for those that actually are not involved in blockchain.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Direct action to that individual. So with the Conversion Academy, we've just got it. We're getting started. There are actually 10 shareholder spots. Some of them have already been taken. And this is an opportunity for people who are looking to make an investment into this world of digital currency, into the NFT, into the actually the rugby sports arena, if you will. And it is linked to a risk mitigation program that has been put in place to secure that investment for the individual stakeholders. So, share a little bit about what that opportunity is for those who might be open to looking into investing a minimum of $50,000.
Okay, let me start off by saying that there are three levels, which is the first one is the very elitist, only 10 shareholders at $50,000. Then there's a next level at $300,000, and then there's a final level at 3 million US dollars. However, I would like to focus first on the entry level because that is where we are as we now emerging into the market. These
Good.
shareholders are basically the guys who hold the flame. They're carrying the flame of believing that as we go into the metaverse, as we take rugby as an international sport, that it starts nationally and then it will go globally. Because obviously, uh, this investor becomes a shareholder and he literally says, I would like to venture my $50,000 and I'd like to put that in as part of the seed capital so that the NFT program can commence. Now, with that being said, we just went and said, like, well, no investor wants to just put money into a big black hole and it disappears. So we came up with a risk mitigation strategy. Said, you know what would be fair? Why don't we take 40,000 dollars of the 50,000 and put that into what we call a turbine that will produce cash flow. So what happens is that the $50,000 goes onto uh, an asset manager platform, and
Right.
over a 5-year period, that capital actually gets doubled, which means your $50,000 that came in as seed capital literally will produce 100 or $100,000 plus over a 5-year period, seeing that it goes on a fixed term investment. So that's 40,000 and 50,000. Then the $10,000 is what we take for operational
Mhm.
activity, because obviously there's things that have to be done. The
Sure.
actual design, the designing, etc., goes after it. But here's the good part from a risk mitigation point of view: the investor says, "Wow, I know that as much as 80% of that capital is going towards a cash flow generation vehicle that over a 5-year period will double my capital with a registered asset manager." And that really is to solidify that your decision to join the company takes your money to go somewhere. Now, I don't know about you. Have you tried to put your money in the bank and to see what you get at
Mhm.
the end of the year? You'd be lucky if you get 3 to 6% per annum.
If
But you know,
that.
correct. So here, if you're talking at a 5-year period, literally to double your capital, you're talking 20% per annum, and that with safe registered asset managers. So the positions, I have 4 remaining positions open that I'd like to get. That will only change if the board of directors say that we will actually extend that. But for now, that's all we need because we worked at what do we need to substantiate and to get the program launched. Only 10 of those. So we're looking for investors, let's say 4 or 5 at $50,000 to become
Mhm.
shareholders. Now, not only will they double their capital, there's something else as well. They become shareholders, which means they get a percentage of the shareholding in the company. So when the dividends get delivered at the end of the financial year, normally that is from year 2, latest year 3, they will get a percentage of the proceeds, which makes it even more worth it because you're
Absolutely.
really making your money work for you. So that's how it works now for the people that we're inviting in to become shareholders.
So that's awesome, and this is not the norm for people looking at diversifying their income into digital currency, because here there's a guarantee with this risk mitigation program to getting into something that is solid, and you're going to get your investment back. So which was one of the many reasons that I decided to jump on board with this amazing program. So we're coming up to September 2023, which is the South Africa Rugby World Cup. So, share with our viewers what's happening between now and September as we're ramping up to, solidifying those 10 shareholders and then opening it up to the general public.
Well, that takes us to level 2 and 3 of the capital that we spoke about. And that is that level 2 is $300,000 that will literally give us the inroads in terms of the rights to use the Springbok emblem, the logo, etc. Because obviously they have got rights to their own branding.
Sure.
So that is level 2 for anybody that wants to come in as a venture capitalist. And they obviously, their name will be plastered all over the show in the rugby stadiums, because whenever you go to rugby stadiums, you've got these advertising boards that run concurrently with advertising like we've seen in rugby and cricket, the way that it is. So that will be the first stage. How do we do that? Well, we started with a rugby league setup. And that is that we go to the rugby players, because in South Africa, they do not have to wear their Springbok rugby jersey for you to know that is Polisi. Everybody knows him. That is Eben Janssen. So what happens is that with the rugby league, we're actually establishing, putting the NFTs in place while we're creating, literally creating the community. Because with the NFT market, the community is really your free advertising, because they go to one another. And this is where we are. We're busy establishing, meeting with those players one on one, and they're going like, of course we're in. We haven't had one rugby player saying he's not in. Everybody says they're in. And now they will commence to start up as a rugby league. And then the moment we get the rugby union signed off, because we're in the final stages of doing that, then they will actually move across to now wearing their rugby jersey and towards the 2023 World Cup. But just imagine, that's the South African rugby team called the Springboks. But who are we playing against? The Wallabies, the All Blacks. So I just want to say to you as a potential shareholder, let your mind go a bit. Imagine what's going to happen with this NFT stake to stake approach that will go global. And you will
Exactly.
be part of the pioneers of having started off this. It's already working with soccer in Brazil, it's working very well. But rugby is becoming one of the most exciting sports across the globe, and everybody knows about that. Even the Americans have started rugby, although you've got your own kind of funny rugby, but the way that we play rugby. Then the final part will be where, as we now establish and we have the World Cup, and we actually embrace the international teams to become part of the explosion. Because trust me, it will explode, because this is the metaverse. This is now where the
Right.
metaverse goes. Level 3 is where we're looking at the 3 million US dollars. That is for the development of the actual game. Because obviously the World Cup will be physical play. You can put your television on, you'll see it. But what is happening is that NFTs and metaverse is game related. There's Candy Crush. Everybody knows Candy Crush. Everybody
Right.
plays it. I mean, my wife is a gamer. She plays Call of Duty. I mean, it's just incredible how even people who are senior are playing games. So what happens now is that rugby is going to become a game in a stadium. And for the development, and I can tell you straight, we're working through Zara City, that is XARA, Zara City, who are our
Right.
partners that have already agreed to get on board with us to build that stadium. But we're looking at 3 million US dollars to secure the entire program. This is massive, which means that
It
going
is.
forward, people will in the community literally online go to the stadium where you get your beer, where you get your popcorn, you go and sit down, and everything will look like it's exactly this what you see in the real stadium, and your hero will run up and they will play and the game will be played. That's the future, because remember, the new generation do not want to go out. They don't want to be
Right.
in the they don't want to be in the populace. They don't want to feel like they're in the crowd. They want the freedom of, I've decided where and how I attend the
Right.
game. So gaming through the metaverse is the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who have a vision and are open minded to looking into the future, we've already heard that digital currency is the wave of the future, and there's going to be so much change and making it much easier. So there is an opportunity here for those that are actually looking to diversify their portfolio, because this is just another option, another investment with a risk mitigation program that is linked to it, which is very, very exciting.
Jeffrey, something else comes to mind. You know,
Sure.
when we heard about Bitcoin the first time,
Hmm.
I mean, we thought, what a farce. We heard about the
Right.
story that somebody bought 2 pizzas with 10,000 Bitcoin, and nobody thought anything of it. Well, we as early pioneers, my wife and I, being in business, having been for years, we bought Bitcoin at $380. And I can tell you that in the first rise, when the Bitcoin came to $16,700, we sold our first set of Bitcoin and
Wow.
became multimillionaires overnight. So why? Because we had front foot forward. We said,
Sure.
let's embrace what's happening. And that's who we are. So the innovation of and the development of where it's going. I mean, who would have said that AI would have in literally in 2 months have gained as much ground as it did? It is
Exactly.
gaining ground fast. So
Yes.
with us, Bitcoin, we understood it. And if I can just tell you now that crypto is the way of the future, but then be wise, diversify, and realize that you need to stay abreast of the new developments of where the world is moving.
That is absolutely correct. And that's a whole nother program in itself. So the the Conversion Academy has been birthed, and we've got shareholders that are coming on board, and the vision is in September to really launch this whole platform. What is the first 5 year vision of the Conversion Academy?
Well, the first 5 years to have a successful rollout of the building the communities around the NFTs in connection with rugby, and then the following sport will be cricket, and the following will be golf. I mean, I'm an avid golf player, but we always say to ourselves, make the first one work and make it stick. So in the next 5 years, because remember, from World Cup to World Cup is a 4 year period. So there's our first challenge. Our first World Cup will be September 2023, and 4 years later will be the second. Now, the aim is that in the first 5 years is to establish that globally and to be the reckoning force. And when we have the All Blacks joining and the Wallabies and the English, I mean, let them come aboard, but it will be through this movement, through the Conversion Academy, because we have the vision to actually embrace it and to move forward with it. So the next 5 years is to make that work, but not only to complete and be successful with rugby, but also then to introduce cricket and golf, as I said, because somebody else has already taken to soccer. So why reinvent the wheel? Work with the
Right.
sports that have to go somewhere. And even if it ends up in the first 5 years that we only do rugby and somebody else gets ahead with the other two, well, we would have already put in place our rugby league and our cricket league, which means we've got the asset. Because remember, the moment the player is signed up, he's signed up
He signed
with
up.
the
Yeah.
Conversion Academy.
Right.
I wouldn't say ownership, but in a sense, it's co-ownership, and that's why we know it will work.
Awesome. That's great. So we're coming down to the last wire here of this interview. So what I'd like to do is take a quick commercial break here. And then when we come back, I've got two more questions for you before we wrap it up. But mental fitness is in physical health. And this is something that I'm very, very passionate about when it comes to physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. We're talking about finances today, but I want to play a quick commercial here regarding the Happy Mind Pack. And this is a drink that I drink every single day because what it does is it wakes up my brain. And what it is a combination of cutting edge nootropics with potent adaptogens to take one's motivation to the next level. It helps me focus. It helps my mental energy and overall state of mind throughout the day because we all deal with different levels of stress. And what I found for me personally is rather than react to stressors, I evaluate. And this has been a God saving sent for me because I used to be a reactor to stress. And so, for those that are looking for motivation, brain health, neuron regeneration, focus, and memory, mental energy, and endurance, this helps promote a healthy, positive mood. And I will definitely say it's better than taking Lexapro, Paxil, or Zoloft. And this is a replacement from a holistic perspective. And we'll be right back after this short commercial break. Okay, we are back, and that is the Happy Mind Pack. So it's filled with potent, holistic, plant based protocols. So we're getting to the last two questions here with Doc Ant from South Africa. And we talked about the shareholder program earlier. And we're looking at going live in September with the World Cup. So, Doc Ant, for those who may not be in a position to invest in the shareholder program, the enrollment is going to be opening up in the fall of this 2023. Share some of the benefits of those individuals who are going to be coming on board early on into the program, like they did, for example, when you talk about Bitcoin. You got in early at a low price. Now, I know that Bitcoin went up to $63,000 a coin, and I think it's down into the 40,000 or the 30,000s now. What are the benefits for those individuals to invest in the Conversion Academy from that perspective?
Well, I said from the beginning that our whole movement is community driven. So to onboard the community, I can tell you now that our point of access are literally matric students, because matric students have to set themselves up financially. I mean, they're going to go into a financial world, and where do they start? And we're going to commence at an initial cost of $10. $10 to literally stake yourself and get yourself into the NFT community. Now, that is going to be everybody that gives access to a community. Now, which rugby player would not like to be part of the Euro program? And of course, $10 is affordable and everybody can do that. So, what we've done is we have brought that in for the masses. Obviously, in June, we will start launching the cards, whether it be digital or live. And we're going to start at various price points, $100, $500, $1,000, to make it affordable for everybody to participate. So, but the whole point is to start the community in mass at only $10 to acquire an NFT and making them NFTs. Because remember, as the game evolves, and our focus is going to be to start off with all the rugby players, where they themselves become NFTs and they're going to play rugby in a digital stadium. And they started because they had a vision with $10 to become part of the community.
That's awesome. And what I love about this too, and we'll probably have to do another interview because there's an educational component to this from the Conversion Academy, which is in development now, and very, very excited to hear more of that once it rolls out. So, with that, if there was one piece of advice you could give anyone watching who is looking for that glimmer of hope, because there's so many people out there looking for that glimmer of hope from a personal or even a professional perspective, what would that be?
Without doubt, it is this: success comes to those who take action. I think one of the things that we've seen in society is so many people literally say, "Oh, I'd love to do that." But sitting on a log doesn't mean that you actually got off. And also deciding to get off the log doesn't mean you actually made the leap. So what you want to do is grow into your success, cultivate your success by taking action. If your action means today, if you know that you're a bearing shareholder, stop thinking about it. Do it. Your money is safe, you double your money. If you know that you would like to become financially free and you're a youngster and you are in your mid 20s and 30s, well, look for the community program, get involved, get on board, and do that by taking action.
I couldn't have said that any better. And, you talk about taking action, and this is something that I'll bring up in a second here. But I first want to thank you for taking the time from your very busy schedule to bring so much value to the viewers today. And you have changed the face of the earth with what you're doing, and we're going to continue to change the face of the earth by educating people about digital currency through amazing programs that are being developed. And I do want to squeeze this in here very quickly because next week, my guest is Dr. Michelle Van Tonder, who is a leadership and management specialist and a wealth coach. And Doc Anthony, you talked about taking action. This is something that I'm going to be talking to your wife, Dr. Michelle about with what she has been doing and what her vision is for helping other people, because she's dynamic, she's witty, and has a huge heart for the people who want to learn. So you'll have to join me next week once I interview Dr. Michelle. So with that, remember, I believe we all should be living in abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And lastly, mental fitness. Mental fitness is the new physical health. And I'll see you on the inside next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Doc Anth.